treat yourself to the most beautiful, the most expensive, or the most mythical of cruises. From the Polynesian archipelago to the Bay of Naples, by way of the icy waters of the North Atlantic, you will furrow the waves in unimaginable luxury. Set your course according to your whim. Sail with a crew ready to wait on you hand and foot. For over a year, we followed the biggest luxury yachts on the planet. Step aboard the last transatlantic liner, take the helm of the incredible Maltese Falcon, or allow yourself to be lulled by Mirabella V, the biggest sloop in the world. Sailors who have crossed its path still remember it. It's a phantom ship that sails far from prying eyes. The owner of this sailing yacht deliberately maintains the mystery surrounding his incredible creation, the Maltese Falcon. The trail of this sailboat begins in the south of England, in this little cottage. This is the workplace of one of the most prestigious designers in the world of super yachting. Ken Fryvoke has lost count of the trophies and awards received for the designs born of his imagination. In this studio, lost in the English countryside, they design the hulls and the interiors of the future playthings of millionaires.
Tom had a clear idea functionally in terms of the efficiency of the boat and the rig and the transoceanic capabilities. I had a very strong burning desire to develop a design which was not a cottage, not a palace. You know, the interior, the exterior, the whole thing was a single machine. And the whole concept of the design would be that of a machine. So from the very beginning, the intention was to develop a completely new aesthetic, to think out of the box, you know, to approach it as a complete new exercise without any preconceptions.
After this meeting, we had been warned. Few are they fortunate enough to set foot on the Maltese Falcon, and we're a long way, a very long way from an end to our surprises. From the Italian coast to the Canaries, from the Caribbean to the Galapagos, it's impossible to get aboard, each time for some obscure reason. But after a 10-month hunt, we finally track it down, anchored in an atoll in Polynesia. In a few minutes, we shall be stepping aboard this monster of technology. The captain of the Maltese Falcon himself greets us.
Hello, how are you today? Excellent. You guys ready to go see the Maltese Falcon? Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Well, welcome aboard.
It's now 10 years that Chris Gardner has been working for the owner of the Maltese Falcon, Tom Perkins, the founder, among others, of a very large computer technology company in the 70s.
When you see it for the first time, she's just, is it really a boat, or is it some sort of a flying saucer, a UFO. Is it from this world? It's just so different and so cutting edge that people are always in awe. They don't really say much. They just look at it and just cannot believe what they see. Okay?
We're hardly aboard before a part of the crew are at action stations.
Welcome aboard the Maltese Falcon. Just watch your step right here. This is Timmy Attard. He's the second officer on board. He'll be showing us how to sail the boat. This is Larim. He is our Frenchman on board, and he is our bosun. Knows a lot about what this boat is going on, and has been with us for a long time. Worked for the same owner for how many years?
8 years now.
8 years, so. And he speaks pretty good English now. So,
Yeah.
so there we go.
See you later. Salut, à tout à l'heure.
So this is the aft deck of the boat. This is where the guests stay. This isn't in a crew area. This is a very interesting part of the boat because you see the 4 glass panes right there. Well, those open up and that whole wall will disappear. So, and it's where they lounge. You have a settee back here, a dining table back here, and then our toys, jet skis, tender, and whatnot on the aft deck.
Let's leave the warm waters of the Pacific for a moment for the English coast. Our heading is Southampton. Forget the banality of low-cost cruises. Goodbye to their big, flashy ships. This time you're sailing on a liner, a real one, an Atlantic liner, the last one in service. Cast off for a legendary voyage, a 7-day non-stop transatlantic crossing, 7 days to reach New York Harbor. At the helm of the ship, or rather at the controls of the Queen Mary II, is Captain Nick Bates.
Once we get into the channel, we'll then transfer control from this control panel over to the center of the ship. And I'll just do that now. We have to use a microphone system here because the center of the bridge is so far away. It's over 52 meters from one wing to the other wing. So to make sure that the orders actually get through, we transfer the call. Okay, take over control in the center now, steering 135.
(1,132 feet long, 236 feet high, the equivalent of 23 floors, the Queen Mary is a ship unlike any other. This liner, launched from the Atlantic shipyards in 2004, can speed along at more than 25 knots under any weather conditions.
Good. I think really the most difficult problem is the weather. You've got to allow for the weather, and it's not difficult for the ship because this is a liner, and a liner is vastly different to a regular cruise line ship. We are built to go across the North Atlantic. But even having said that, I know, and we all know on board, the ship can handle just about any weather the North Atlantic can give us, but the passengers feel a bit uncomfortable. And obviously we want to make their trip memorable, but memorable in a nice way as they make their way over to New York or back again.
Among the passengers who have yet to get their sea legs is a young French writer, Nicolas Destienne-Dorve. This is his first voyage on the high seas.
You discover the real meaning of contact with the elements. By that I mean, you usually cross the Atlantic in 7 hours. There's a little screen in a plane where you see a tiny plane flying over the Atlantic and making the crossing in 7 hours. Here, we have, what, 5 days? We're crossing the Atlantic at roughly 30 miles an hour, the speed of a moped. So we really are in contact with the elements. In fact, it's the most natural way of crossing the Atlantic. The plane is unnatural. Here we're totally in contact with the elements. It's fascinating. I feel like letting myself dive into the ocean, so to speak, to let myself go completely with the rhythm of the wind, of the sea, of the ship. It's a unique experience, and not everyone gets to enjoy it. At one time, people who wanted to cross the Atlantic had to do it this way. It's a form of luxury, but at the same time, I think it's the most logical relationship you can have with the elements. So, I'm not expecting anything in particular. I just want to go with the rhythm of things. It's so rare to go with the rhythm of things. That's to say, really make the crossing, see the real elements close up.
As we leave the English coast, it's high time we took a look at what goes on in the bowels of this luxury monster. There's no chance of being bored here. Everything has been designed to make the cruise passengers feel they are in a palace. The Queen Mary has a dozen restaurants, a theatre, a disco, a ballroom, a cinema, several swimming pools. In short, you don't know which way to look next.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the modern donut was invented. On that note, I wish you all a very pleasant afternoon.
In his small cabin, writer Nicolas Destienne-Dove has just discovered the etiquette aboard ship.
In the evening, it's serious business. You have to dress. Some evenings in a smart suit, some evenings in proper evening dress. That means either a tuxedo, black tie, tuxedo with the satin lapels, or just a dark suit, preferably black or white dress. Just like in the old days. It's like people who used to go to the opera in the evening, they dress up. Here we're going to dinner. We spend 2 hours in a smart suit, but we play the game right to the end. It's part of the protocol, and when people travel on a Cunard liner, I have the impression that it's also to take part in these charades, which are fun, and part of the game.
Ces simulacres-là, mais qui sont amusants et qui font partie du jeu.
Several floors above, in the high-class cabins, Mr. and Mrs. Burke are also getting ready. This Australian couple, who are so much in love, have treated themselves to a halfway around the world trip on board the QM2. On the menu, the Persian Gulf, the Suez Canal, Gibraltar, and now the immensity of the Atlantic Ocean. This evening, they've been invited by Captain Bates to a handshake and a smile, no more than that. To be fair, the guest list is very long.
If you're lucky, you may see a Scotsman with a kilt coming along tonight, because that is their traditional dress instead of a black tie. I think there were 1 or 2 on the boat at the moment.
I think my memories are from the old black and white movies, when you'd see Fred Astaire and the likes of that genre of actors, and you'd see them on cruise ships and everyone's dressed up, or very much from the royalty when you'd see the Queen and Prince Philip dressed up and going on the boats. But it is very much that black and white movie genre of people dressing up, and the likes of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
A special occasion, I think is how you describe it.
That good old nostalgia for those old-time crossings to America and its promises. Crossings that were not necessarily glamorous for everybody, especially for the less wealthy migrants huddled in steerage. Today, things haven't really changed. The upper decks are for the privileged. For the others, the crew members, there are the lower decks, not far above the waterline. What's more, something's going on the second floor.
Right, here we are, everybody. Welcome into the medical centre. Come on in. Okay.
Hi, he's
Hello.
screaming.
All right. All right. Well, we'll just carry on walking.
What happened this morning?
Well, the little boy, nice young man here, he's age 11, he's fallen over and hurt his hand a little bit. So there's a little bit of blood on his trousers. I hope you don't mind that. Right, further down the medical centre. We have down here something that happens very infrequently. Everybody thinks that lots and lots of people die on the ship. It is a very rare event, let me tell you. There's more tree for 4 here. People, the last thing they want to do is a beautiful cruise or a crossing on the Queen Mary, and then if they know they're going to die, then they just go to sleep at the end. In the middle of the ocean, to be honest, everybody thinks it will be a heart attack or broken legs or things, but they all are very small compared to somebody who loses their brain and goes, what in England we say psychotic. And they running around the ship, not listening to anybody, being very dangerous. They're very, very difficult to deal with. We have rooms for crew. Yeah, we'll open another window. They have the hospital beds here. They have a lovely view outside. And the food in here, of course, if they want caviar, they have that. If they want lobster or filet mignon, it all comes from the restaurant. It's the best hospital food in the whole world, probably.
While the Queen Mary continues her route to the west, in the Mediterranean, another cruise is being made ready.
As some people think I was a bit exaggerated, but you see, ever since I was a young boy, everything I ever sailed on was a sloop, one mast. And I've always just loved sloops, so everything I built, Mirabella, Mirabella V, Mirabella V, are all sloops. So to make it this big, the mast had to be very high.
Even the cook on the biggest and most luxurious sailboat in the world sometimes shops in the local supermarket. David, the chef on the Mirabella, moves around like he cooks, always on the run.
Okay, all right, lovely. I'll grab some fresh stuff. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. It was Sarah, the chief stewardess, and she said Mr. Vittoria is going to have lunch on board. So now I have to sort of think about buy some bits and pieces because he's going to have lunch in about 3 hours' time. Posso due filet? No, tranche, not filet.
Moored now for several days in the back bay of Naples, a pretty white boat is making the local headlines. Its mast is 90 meters high. It's as long as a football pitch. On the dockside, the Neapolitans can't believe their eyes. With its 75-meter hull, the Mirabella looks like a fat-bellied baby, and one that's greedy for fuel. Not very economical or ecological for a sailboat of this size. It needs, get ready, more than 30,000 litres of diesel to fill its gigantic tanks.
We're putting about 2/3 of our fuel on so we can go and do a charter down in Sicily and then make our way back up to France for shipyard. So this will be the last time we'll fuel up before the boat goes to shipyard. She'll go maybe 1 month before she needs fuel again now, with lots of running around, so plenty of fuel capacity.
For David, the countdown has begun. Mr. V, the owner, is coming aboard in less than 2 hours.
Just in the drive so we can focus on it. Go ahead.
The boat's captain, an Australian, is more than a little proud to have in his hands a jewel costing $60 million. Generally, he sails very cautiously. To be more precise, he motors.
You can ease that brake off, mate. We're trying to come back a bit. Just ease it off. You can have very little wind down here, and then up the top there still have a lot of breeze, and you're not feeling it here and you're not sensing it, but the wind instruments tell you there's a lot of wind up there. In a lot of small ports, Bonifacio in Corsica as an example, it's cliffs on either side, so it can be calm down here, but up the top is blowing 20 knots of wind, and it can still move the boat around and push the boat around because it's got a grip on the mast up top. I have a lifting keel, so the other thing too is when I lift the keel up, I have a lot less grip on the water when I'm in a mode where I'm shallow enough to get into these little harbours. I don't have the keel all the way down, so it makes manoeuvring a little hard again to do that. So just have to plan it ahead, sometimes send the boat in, check out the port, talk to the port, find out what is in there waiting for me, find out what I could get into trouble, and then plan it accordingly and have a way to stop and get back out.
While the crew of Mirabella V rushes around to prepare for the arrival of its owners, we return to Bora Bora, where the Maltese Falcon is preparing to weigh anchor. It's high time we hoisted the sails, at last.
The echo's on the waterline. Yes.
Timmy, Chris, you are a total butthead. Simply push the start button.
Immense masts tower over a hull that is 85 meters long. Like some futuristic Chinese junk, the Maltese Falcon heads for the Bora Bora Channel for a short trip out to sea. The least little breeze swelling the sails is enough to drive this ship, estimated at more than $100 million. On the deck, there's not a soul because everything happens on the bridge.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to take my kite out. Body drag across the bay.
At the controls is the captain, Chris Gardner, lavish in his praise for his vessel.
It's the only system of its kind in the world. Developed, the original idea came from Tom Perkins again on a piece of paper, and the whole idea behind the sailing system is that somebody could be taught how to sail this boat in 15 minutes because it's really, really easy. You know, everything's a visual display. There aren't many buttons or knobs, and somebody can come right here and be taught and can sail this boat in 15 minutes.
It all seems so simple, so obvious. And yet, despite the revolutionary aspect of such a rig, Chris and his crew are on the alert at every change of tack.
We have to remember that our masts are freestanding, meaning there's nothing to hold it up. No shrouds, no nothing to hold the rigs up. And so we have to watch the loading. You know, we have to watch how much the wind is pressing on the rigs, and whether we have to shorten the sail or we have to rotate the sail to dump the power of the wind in it. And so we really have to be very attuned to what the wind is doing. We have to be careful we don't load the freestanding rigs up and bend them too far.
After several changes of tack on the open sea, we're finally going to discover what happens in the bowels of this infernal machine. A guided tour of the Maltese Falcon in the company of Stella, the ship's stewardess.
Okay, this is the main salon. This is where the guests watch TV, they sit at the bar for cocktail hour. This is where they relax.
The owner of the vessel can only be seen on a giant screen. Tom Perkins, one of the richest men in America, appears to love diving, works of art of every sort, and novels.
Okay, these are two of Tom's books. This Valley Boy is about himself, and Sex and the Single Zillionaire is basically about he received a letter from a TV show, and they wanted him to be the guest star and to basically go out with women on the show, and then he would choose one of them to marry him, something like that, but which is not Tom's style at all. So he declined, but he wrote a book about it. So it's just very easy reading. And the silver shark, as you can see through on the cabin deck, Tom picked this up at the Perini Cup in Porto Rotondo, which he loved. And around here we have the Falcon. This was inspired by the novel, the blackbird in the novel, the Hammett 1939 novel. The Maltese Falcon. This is the dining room. We have two pretty awesome features. We have the wine cellar, just a small selection of our wines on board. We have some amazing wines from Bordeaux, Burgundy, some Italian wines, super Tuscans like Soleil, and Tom's favourite wine, which is called the Lynch Barge from Pauillac in Bordeaux. Another feature is the Iris, which is our James Bond feature, which is a skylight to a table in front of the bridge. I'll just push the button to close it.
After this guided tour of the Maltese Falcon, worthy of a science fiction film, we rejoin the passengers on the Queen Mary in the middle of the Atlantic. It's been 3 days since we set sail from Southampton. We had almost forgotten we were aboard a steamer on a stormy sea. It's midday, and weather over the Atlantic has deteriorated. The weather forecast is for a heavy swell. The ship is moving around, but not enough to worry our author, Nicolas Destiendorf, deep in meditation on the balcony of his cabin. As for our Australian couple, the weather is the least of their worries.
It's the complete opposite of what we're used to. Normally, Queensland's very hot, and so you just use cold water for a shower. This is very cold, and the spa is wonderful.
It's something you have to do once in your life. You have to do a big cruise. We got on in Dubai and we'll finish in New York. But we've loved it so much we've booked another cruise. So it was supposed to be a one-off, but we've loved it so much we're now going to do it again.
Five floors below, in a different sort of steam.
You mustn't forget that here we cook for 2 sittings. This is the biggest of the kitchens of the Queen Mary 2. We have 8 kitchens. This is the biggest. Here we prepare around 2,000 covers each evening in 2 sittings.
Jean-Marie Zimmerman is the French chef on the Queen Mary. The man from Alsace had never set foot on a boat before. Today he's the man who dreams up the menus for all the restaurants on the ship.
I don't want it sitting like this. Let's do fresh. Bloody hell. À la minute. Can you start making sure these guys work à la minute there?
Under the orders of the head chef, we have Mauritians, Indonesians, Filipinos or Chinese. They work 7 days a week for several months in a row for less than modest wages. Naturally, without them, this sort of luxury cruise would not exist.
Okay, how is it going? Hello.
Here we are in the pastry kitchen. It operates 24 hours a day. Now we're in the middle of a service. You see, right now we have a service of 1,000 covers. And we have around 5 desserts on the menu, and this evening we're having Grand Marnier soufflé, hot. Okay, and we're going to sell around 450. Well, have you ever seen a restaurant that can produce 450 soufflés in a minute? Come on, let's see. Now just look at that. Are my Grand Marnier soufflés fantastic, huh? Come on. Here, take a look. Take a look at the decorations for Easter. This is my head pastry chef. He's Indonesian. Okay, Hardy? Okay? He's making me decorations in chocolate. Just look at that. You mustn't forget that you've got to find the right product that will work. I'm not talking about chocolate, but in general. Meat and all that. Just imagine, when I buy sirloin steak, I buy around 300 tons of sirloin steak each year. Just think about it. How many farms is that? How many animals is that? You really have to look for suppliers who can deliver quality that is worthy of the Queen Mary 2.
Back with the passengers, Nicolas Destiendorf has finally found inspiration. The sea, the liner, the relative solitude. Every day he writes up his ship's log.
It's very narcissistic. You're shut up with yourself, staring at your navel, and your navel is in the middle of the ocean. So you're really lost. And it's astonishing to be here, in the middle of the water. I've just published a novel that takes place entirely in Paris underwater, The Last Days of Paris. It's after a flood. And here I've got the flood. I'm totally isolated at the end of the world, and it's ideal for letting ideas come. They come with the wind, they come with the spray. Let's say that the imagination is spurred precisely because one is alone in the face of the void, and it's from the void that ideas are born, for me in any case. These last 2 days have been something of a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, you wake up, you feel a bit sick, and then little by little our metabolism adapts, accustoms itself to the swell, and really you become a sort of fish yourself. That is to say, you mold yourself to the elements, and really you're nowhere and everywhere at the same time. That's to say, you're in the middle of nothingness, and in a certain way you fulfill yourself differently.
On the bridge, the hour is grave for Captain Nick Bates. After 5 days at sea, we are nearing a very bad memory for the Cunard Company. What's more, it's April the 13th.
Nearly done. I think they just want a little bit more. Well, here we are coming down on the rum line course, and quite interestingly, we will actually pass quite close to where the Titanic came to her demise, and that was, of course, on the 14th of April 1912 when she struck the iceberg. But we're actually coming much further south than where the Titanic was. So in reality, really, she was extremely unlucky because she was even well south of what the known limits of ice were at that time. But of course, modern technology, we're able to plot, we've got much greater, more accurate information to go by from where all known ice fields are, so we'll be well clear of where anything is in that particular area. But obviously it's a great emotional time for many people as we go past that, what was the second most famous ship in the world, next to the Queen Mary II.
A solemn moment just a few miles from where the Titanic sank. And then life resumes its course. In the Bay of Naples, Mirabella V is starting to reveal its secrets. Its hull can hold 2 London buses, but its latest gadget is a little speedboat concealed in its belly. It's exactly 1 p.m. and there's panic in the kitchens. David is running late. The American owner, Mr. Vittoria, enters what is in a way his dining room.
It took us so many years to build it that every time I see it and that it's come out exactly as we expected it would, it's been a joy to approach it and see it like this. Because for me, it's a very beautiful ship.
To what form of being you could compare your ship?
I don't know the name of the fast birds, but probably the birds that can fly very fast would be, or a jaguar on the ground, something sleek, something quick. Agile is a bit exaggerated because it's a big boat and it is difficult to maneuver, but it is just a joy to be on it, to sail it. Because we sail at good speeds all the time. I think we're all right because we're under, what I understand, 32. What do you think the number will be? Okay. David.
Hello.
I understand you've been cooking several times.
Even as a child,
Yes,
Joe Vittoria
and,
was an
I went to
experienced
the
sailor.
over there.
Later, he headed a well-known car rental company and then became a boat builder.
Some fresh shrimps, some fresh calamari, and there's a nice insalata verde.
You've realized that where sailboat building is concerned, Mr. V has always gone for extremes.
Outstanding. I was supposed to go home for lunch, but I decided since you made something, I'm better off here.
Oh, lovely. Enjoy.
Thank you. Most of what I enjoyed today is what we're going to do in a little while, or what I'm going to do tomorrow with all my friends, is we go out for a sail for maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, then we come back. Have a cocktail, have some food. I enjoy going somewhere and parking. Many of my friends say to me, you have 3 boats. How many times have you gone across the Atlantic? Never. There's no interest to me. For 2 reasons. One is I know that it's kind of like a break for the crew. They can play their music, they can do everything. You know, they're very careful, but they're on their own. Plus, they're motoring almost all the time.
Just a little more patience before we set sail and head for the open sea, on course for the Isle of Capri, because Mrs. Vittoria is in sight. She wants to inspect the interior decorations of the Mirabella before the boat is next chartered. She's the one who manages the whole of this little floating enterprise.
But maybe there is a reason. Sarah, this door was imposed to me by the MCA.
Okay.
I absolutely detest this door. One of these days I'm going to undo it and throw it in the water because this is a beautiful piece that I find in London. And one of the it's a good piece, it's a lovely piece. I like to see it.
Yeah.
So if it's possible, keep this door shut until I don't throw it away. Okay? That would be a perfect gift to me. If this has to be unique outside, also has to be unique inside. And I push them to make him a home, just like we have in Palm Beach, in Greenwich, in New York, whatever. Everything has to look like home.
Was it a personal choice also to have a sailing boat? Because usually we say that ladies prefer engines and so on.
No.
For the graceful, for the glamour of the...
See, I was born near here, and one of the house down there, that was my home. I lived all my life on the water, and my brothers and my father were all big sailors, and I lived all my life on a sailing boat. I hate motors. I hate the noise. I hate the smoke. I hate they are comfortable because they go fast and they arrive fast. But with this boat, we are as fast as any motorboat that is out there. But we don't have the noise, and we have this tranquil looking.
The magic moment has arrived. Slowly, Mirabella V unfurls its gigantic sails, nearly 3,000 meters of canvas. The rigging is entirely automated. A few crewmen are required to operate the giant winches. A light breeze is caressing the Bay of Naples, and already we're flying along at 12 knots, a miracle when you consider that this beautiful bird weighs more than 300 tons.
What is life if you don't take some risks? I mean, I don't try to climb Mount Everest or jump out of a plane or anything like that, but I like to try and create something, so I always set a goal. And, you know, from, frankly, the late 80s, my goal was to build bigger sailboats. And that's what I've done. And as I said to you earlier, I've gone big enough. I'm always thinking of something else. And in fact, I'm going to put this boat actively for sale. You know, I've done it, I've created it, I've sailed in it, I've enjoyed it. Now somebody else can enjoy it. And that way, that's the agreement with my wife. If we sell this one, then I can think seriously about something else.
Calling all sailors, pool your savings. Mirabella V is for sale. $70 million and some loose change. Arrivederci, Italy. We're heading for Polynesia. After 3 hours of sailing, we re-enter Bora Bora Atoll, surfing in on the swell.
So it's time to put all the sails away. So we're going to furl away the sails. So I'm going to do that by simply selecting. And now I just push the start button and off we go. You can see that the sails will start going here in a minute. You can see the orange on each one of the sails and the sail actually closing or reducing. And it's doing exactly that on the mast. So it's 1 minute and 10 seconds for each sail to go away. Everybody wants to get on board. Everybody wants to see her. Everybody wants to know something about it. Wherever we go, whatever port we go to, everybody else comes up and either says it's the most incredible, most beautiful, most interesting, For some people, the most beautiful boat they've ever seen, and some people, they might not like it because they're a traditionalist. But everybody's impressed. It's quite a machine. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for helping us out. Hey, guys, cheers. Timmy, cheers. Christian, cheers. Here's to the Lhasa television and to the Maltese Falcon and its crew. Woo! Cheers, cheers, cheers. Et santé, as the French would say.
After lifting the veil on some of its secrets, we leave the Maltese Falcon.
Cheers.
You are now among the happy few who know what lies concealed beneath its giant wings. In a few days' time, its crew will reach a secret destination, known only to the captain and the American owner. As they approach the American coast, the passengers aboard the Queen Mary are enjoying the calmer weather. Down in the bowels of the mighty liner, there's no rest for the crew. We are just a few hours from New York.
It's an absolute fantasy. I mean, the arrival in New York, it's images that you've seen in films. You've seen in books, like in The Godfather or something else. This is the arrival of immigrants in New York, passing Ellis Island and arriving at the Statue of Liberty. These are very, very powerful images, movie images that are so much more poetic and evocative than the simple fact of a plane landing at the airport 3 hours from the city centre. Well, I'm exaggerating, but 3 hours including traffic jams.
For several hours now, the excitement aboard the ship has been palpable. The grand final of the Great Crossing is near. Slowly, we glide along the Hudson River. The glow of Manhattan is in sight. It's a moment of magic that all the passengers have been waiting for.
Four o'clock, the alarm goes off and everybody dives into the shower. Everybody dresses up warmly because it's cold. You rush onto the deck and it's dark, but we're practically in New York. Suddenly, in the distance, little lights appear, freighters here and there, and now we're going under the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and apparently the ship was designed specifically to go under this bridge to within about 6 feet, except that you get the impression that the funnel is going to scrape the underside of the bridge, and then bang! We're going through, and there you are in New York.
Go ahead, I need Sullivan Z. This is the leader. Good morning, Captain. Just want to get a quick update from you. I'm going to have one of your two bunker barges this morning. Let's see what time you figure we ought to come on over. How do you want to do?
For us, it's a completely different holiday experience because you are sort of isolated on the liner, if you like, and it's a special experience. You know, the food, the accommodation, everything is very, very nice, and you get to see. Normally, you'd land in a plane in a holiday destination, so there it was. Whereas here, you come in and see it all, and see the countryside as you go past. So it's just different. It's been very, very special.
think you could ever forget that this is probably the most prestigious ship in the world. And for me, it's really the pinnacle of my career to be allowed to take command of this beautiful ship. I mean, I have to say, the first time I walked up the gangway, my chest sort of came out an extra 30 centimetres all the way around. Just I was so proud to be on board, and then to walk around the ship and just to have the pleasure of talking to people, passengers and crew. We must never forget the crew that we have on board. You know, they play a vital role in what we do.
For the passengers, this is the end of a voyage that is both mythical and very romantic. For the crews, there's no time to take a breather. In just a few hours, the Queen Mary set sail to brave the Atlantic once more, on course for Southampton. During this epic adventure at sea, we have experienced an incredible voyage on the most beautiful and the biggest boats on the planet, with the sensation of being all alone in the middle of the ocean.